The massive space station hung in the void like a metal city. Its lights twinkled against the black of space, and ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its many ports. This was Nexus Station, the heart of galactic power. Today, it would decide the future of humanity. Ambassador Hyun-woo walked through the gleaming corridors with steady steps. His black suit was simple compared to the colorful robes and strange armor worn by the alien beings around him. Behind him, two other humans followed. Jiho wore a military uniform with no decorations, while Somin carried a small case of scientific equipment. The three humans looked small and plain next to the towering aliens they passed. Some aliens had multiple arms, others had skin that changed color, and a few floated in the air without touching the ground. Many stopped to stare at the humans with curious or dismissive looks. "They think we're nothing special," Jiho whispered to his companions. "Good," Hyun-woo replied quietly. "Let them think that." The doors to the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep hum. The room was enormous, with seats arranged in circles that rose up like an amphitheater. Hundreds of alien beings sat in those seats, representing every major species in the galaxy. At the center, on a raised platform, sat the Inner Council. The Inner Council had 7 members, each from a different powerful species. Council leader Vexthal was a Kethmore, an ancient race that looked like walking crystals. His body sparkled with inner light as he spoke. "The species called humans will now be evaluated," Vexthal announced. His voice echoed through the chamber without warmth. "They come from a small world in Sector 7739, recently discovered by our scout ships." Another council member stood up. This was General Krikstar of the Valthari, a warrior race with thick gray skin and 4 arms. "The preliminary report shows they are weak," he said, reading from a glowing tablet. "Short lifespan, soft bodies, no natural weapons or armor. They have only recently learned to travel between stars." A third council member, the snake-like Nexari, called Sithara, added her own comments. "Their technology is basic, their ships are slow, their weapons are simple projectiles and energy beams, nothing we have not seen before." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many aliens nodded their heads or made sounds of dismissal. The humans were clearly not impressive to them. Hyun-woo listened to all of this without showing any emotion on his face. He had expected this reaction. Earth's intelligence services had been studying the galactic powers for years. They knew exactly what the aliens thought of humanity. "According to our classification system," Vexthal continued, "humans are rated as Tier 7, minimal threat, limited potential. This places them in the same category as the Zalari farmers and the Pokton merchants." Some aliens in the chamber made sounds that might have been laughter. The Zalari and Pokton were known as peaceful, harmless races that posed no danger to anyone. "However," Vexthal said, raising one crystal hand, "galactic law requires that all new species be given a chance to demonstrate their capabilities. You have been granted an audience to show us why humans deserve recognition in galactic society." General Krikstar leaned forward in his seat. "But we do not have time to waste on long presentations. You have exactly 24 standard hours to prove your worth. If you cannot show us something remarkable in that time, humans will be restricted to their home sector. You will not be allowed to expand further into the galaxy." The chamber fell, silent. This was an impossible challenge, and everyone knew it. No species in galactic history had ever impressed the Council in just one day. Most evaluation processes took months or even years. Sithara's forked tongue flicked out as she smiled. "Perhaps we should begin the paperwork for their restriction now," she said. "It would save time." But Hyun-woo stepped forward calmly. "We accept your challenge," he said in a clear, strong voice. A wave of surprised murmurs ran through the chamber. The aliens had expected the humans to ask for more time, or to protest the unfair conditions. "Excellent," Vexthal said, though he sounded bored rather than pleased. "You may begin your presentation." Hyun-woo looked at So-min, who opened her equipment case. "Council leader, honored members," Hyun-woo began. We understand that you judge species by their age, their size, and their obvious strengths. This makes sense. The Kethmore have lived for millions of years. The Valthari are natural warriors. The Nexari are master planners. He paused, letting his words sink in. But perhaps you judge by the wrong standards. General Krikstar snorted. And what standards should we use, little human? Adaptability, Hyunwoo said simply. Somin activated a holographic display that showed planet Earth. The image rotated slowly, showing continents and oceans. This is our world, Somin said. It has many different environments. Hot deserts where nothing should live. Frozen lands where water turns to stone. Deep oceans with crushing pressure. Mountains so high the air is thin. The hologram zoomed in to show different scenes. Humans in thick clothes walking across ice, others in light clothing crossing burning sand, some diving deep underwater, others climbing steep cliffs. Most species evolve for one type of environment, Somin continued. But humans live everywhere on their world. We change ourselves to fit any condition. Interesting, admitted Sithara, though she tried to sound unimpressed. But adaptation to one planet means little in space. Jiho spoke for the first time. You're right, a planet is small compared to a galaxy. He smiled slightly. That's why we adapted to the galaxy too. Vexthal's crystal body flashed brighter. Explain. For the past 50 years, Jiho said, human ships have been traveling throughout galactic space, not as conquerors or merchants, as observers. We wanted to learn about our new neighbors before we introduced ourselves. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. The idea that a primitive species had been secretly watching them was insulting and frightening. Impossible, General Krikstar roared. Our sensors would have detected your ships. Would they? Hyunwoo asked quietly. At that moment, every communication device in the chamber began beeping at once. Council members grabbed their tablets and communication units, their faces showing growing alarm as they read incoming messages. Sithara looked up from her device, her snake eyes wide with shock. There are human ships everywhere, she whispered. The reports are coming in from across the galaxy. How is this possible? Hyunwoo checked his own device and nodded to his companions. The 24 hours have begun, he said calmly. We suggest you pay close attention to what happens next. The great chamber fell completely silent. For the first time in galactic history, the council had no idea what to expect from a species evaluation. The humans had already shattered their first assumption. Outside the station in the cold darkness of space, thousands of human ships began powering up their engines. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity could really do. 6 hours had passed since the challenge began. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as reports continued flowing in from across the galaxy. Every few minutes, another council member would receive an urgent message about human ships appearing in their territory. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, humanity's flagship hidden in the shadow of a dead moon near Earth. His weathered face showed no emotion as he watched dozens of screens displaying human fleet movements across the galaxy. Admiral, all ghost fleets have reached their positions, reported his communications officer. We have eyes on every major galactic trade route, military base, and population center. Excellent, Taemin replied. Begin Phase 2. Meanwhile on Earth, President Yoonji paced in the underground command center beneath Seoul. The room was filled with the soft glow of holographic displays showing the entire galaxy. Red dots marked alien military forces, blue dots showed human ships, and green lines traced communication networks. Ma'am, called out Duyan from her engineering station. The rapid deployment systems are working perfectly. Our modular shipyards have produced another 200 vessels in the last 6 hours. Duyan was young for such an important position, but her engineering skills were legendary among human space forces. She had designed the hidden shipyards that could build entire fleets in days rather than years. How many ships do we have active now? President Yoonji asked. 12,000 combat vessels, 30,000 support ships, and over 50,000 automated drones, Doyan reported. all using stealth technology the aliens have never seen before. Back on Nexus Station, the atmosphere in the council chamber had changed completely. What started as a boring formality had become a crisis. Council Leader Vexthal's crystal body flickered with agitated light patterns as he read report after report. "This is impossible," General Krickstar muttered, his forearms gesturing wildly. "No species could hide this many ships. Our surveillance network covers the entire galaxy." Hyunwoo smiled politely. "Your surveillance network is very impressive. General, we studied it carefully." At that moment, a new figure entered the chamber. Woo Jin looked like an ordinary young man in a simple gray suit, but his fingers moved constantly over a small device. He was humanity's top cybersecurity specialist and digital warfare expert. "Honored council members," Woo Jin said with a respectful bow, "I need to inform you of a small problem with your communication systems." Sithara's snake-like head turned toward him quickly. "What kind of problem?" "Well," Woo Jin said, still smiling pleasantly, "for the past 30 years, human computer specialists have been studying your networks. We found some interesting security flaws." He pressed a button on his device. Suddenly, every screen in the council chamber displayed the same message. "Hello from Earth's Digital Defense Corps." The alien council members stared in horror at their compromised systems. General Krickstar tried to access his military communications, but his screen now showed a cartoon image of a waving human hand. You hacked our systems?" Vexthal's voice echoed with shock and anger. "Not hacked," Woo Jin corrected gently. "We prefer the term security evaluation. We wanted to make sure your networks were safe from real threats. Good news. They're very secure against other galactic species. Bad news. Human digital warfare techniques are quite different from what you're used to." So Min stepped forward with her scientific equipment. "If I may continue our presentation about human adaptability," she said calmly, as if nothing unusual had happened. She activated another hologram, this time showing human DNA. "Most galactic species are specialized for their home environments. You, Council Leader Vexthal, are adapted for high-radiation crystal worlds. General Krickstar's people evolved on high-gravity planets with thin atmospheres." The hologram zoomed in to show the complex structure of human genetic code. "Human DNA is different. We're not specialized for one environment. Instead, we're designed to change and adapt. Give us a few generations in any environment, and we become native to it." "Your point?" Sithara hissed impatiently. "My point," Somin replied, "is that humans don't just adapt to planets. We adapt to situations, to technologies, to other species' ways of thinking. When we discovered galactic civilization, we didn't try to join it as we were. We studied it, learned from it, and adapted ourselves to excel in it." A new alarm began sounding in the chamber. This time it came from the Nexari territories. Sithara's communication device displayed an urgent message that made her recoil in shock. "Impossible," she whispered. "The message says human ships are providing escort services to our merchant vessels. They're protecting them from pirates." Hyunwoo nodded. "The galaxy has many dangers. Pirates, raiders, hostile alien species that aren't part of the Council. For years, human ships have been quietly protecting peaceful traders and travelers. But why?" General Krickstar demanded. "What do you gain from protecting other species' ships?" "Goodwill," Jiho answered simply. "You see, General, humans learned something important from studying galactic history. The strongest species aren't always the ones who conquer others. They're the ones who make others want to fight beside them." More alarms began sounding as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships weren't just appearing everywhere. They were helping. They were rescuing crews from disabled vessels, providing medical aid to colonies suffering from disease, and even fighting off pirate attacks on alien settlements. On a distant mining world, Captain Haewon directed her crew as they helped repair a Zilari freight ship that had suffered engine failure. Haewon was officially listed as a diplomatic attaché, but her real job was intelligence gathering. "Captain," her engineer called out, "the Zilari are asking how they can repay us for the repairs." "Tell them they can repay us by telling their friends that humans are good neighbors," Haewon replied. That's worth more than any payment. Back in the council chamber, the alien leaders were becoming increasingly agitated. Their entire understanding of the galactic balance of power was crumbling before their eyes. How many species are you secretly allied with? Vexthal demanded. Hyunwoo checked his communication device. As of 6 hours ago, we had mutual cooperation agreements with 47 species. As of now, he paused to read the latest update. 62 species. It seems word is spreading about human assistance programs. President Yoonji's voice came through Hyunwoo's earpiece from Earth. Ambassador, you can inform the Council that Operation Helping Hand has exceeded all expectations. Minor species across the galaxy are publicly thanking humanity for years of secret protection and aid. Duyan's voice joined the conversation. We're also receiving requests from 18 different species asking for technological cooperation agreements. Apparently, our medical technology and food production methods are very popular. Wu Jin looked up from his device with a grin. Oh, and I should mention, we've been tracking pirate communications for years. Would the Council like detailed information about every illegal operation currently active in galactic space? We have complete records. The chamber fell silent again. The aliens were beginning to realize that everything they thought they knew about the balance of power in the galaxy was wrong. Humans weren't primitive newcomers begging for acceptance. They were an established power that had been working behind the scenes for decades. Sithara spoke in a shaking voice. How long have you been planning this? Since the day we first detected alien radio signals, Hyunwoo replied honestly. We knew that when we finally met galactic civilization, we would either be accepted as equals or treated as primitives. So we decided to make sure we had other options. General Krikstar stood up from his seat, his massive form towering over the humans. This is all very impressive, he growled. But you still haven't shown us anything that proves you deserve respect. Anyone can hide ships and hack computers. Where is your strength? Where is your power? Jiho smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. General, you're asking the wrong question. What should I be asking? You should be asking why we haven't used our strength yet. The meaning of those words sank in slowly. The humans had revealed their presence across the galaxy, their technological capabilities, their intelligence networks, and their alliances, but they hadn't threatened anyone or demanded anything. 18 hours remain in your evaluation period, Vexthal announced, his crystal voice now uncertain rather than dismissive. 18 hours, Hyunwoo agreed. I wonder what else you'll learn about humanity in that time. 12 hours had passed since the challenge began. The Galactic Council chamber now resembled a war room more than a formal meeting place. Alien officials hurried between seats carrying urgent reports, while communication devices beeped constantly, with new updates from across the galaxy. Council leader Vexthal's crystal body had dimmed to a worried blue glow. Report, he commanded his aide, a nervous four-armed being who held multiple data tablets. Sir, human ships are now confirmed in over 3,000 star systems. They appear to be conducting simultaneous operations across the entire galaxy. Our intelligence services are overwhelmed. In the human section of the chamber, Jiho stood calmly reviewing information on his own device. His military background had taught him the importance of timing, and now was the time to escalate the demonstration. Honored council members, Jiho began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. You seem concerned about our ship movements. Perhaps I can explain our military doctrine. General Krikstar turned all four of his eyes toward the human. Speak. Most galactic species use overwhelming force, Jiho said, activating a holographic display. Send a large fleet, destroy the enemy, claim victory. It's direct and effective. The hologram showed typical galactic battle formations. Massive ships arranged in fighting lines, engaging in direct combat. Humans use a different approach. We call it precision warfare. The display changed to show much smaller human ships, moving in complex patterns around larger enemy vessels. We don't try to overpower our enemies. We outthink them. Sithara leaned forward, her snake-like head swaying. Clever tactics are nothing new. Small forces have defeated large ones before. True, Jiho agreed. But we take it further. We don't just fight the enemy's ships, we fight their assumptions. He pressed another control, and the hologram expanded to show a complete star system. Human ships weren't arranged in battle formations at all. Instead, they were scattered throughout the system, some hiding near planets, others disguised as asteroids or space debris. For example, Jiho continued, right now your military commanders are trying to figure out how many human ships are in their territories. They're scanning for engine signatures, energy emissions, and mass concentrations. General Krikstar nodded. Standard military intelligence procedures. But what if half our ships aren't emitting any signatures because they're powered down? What if a quarter of them are hidden inside asteroids? What if some of them look exactly like harmless merchant vessels? The general's gray skin grew darker. You're saying we can't get accurate counts of your forces. I'm saying you're counting the wrong things, Jiho replied. You're looking for ships when you should be looking for capabilities. At that moment, Woojin approached the main display console. Council leader, may I demonstrate something? Vexthal's crystal form flickered nervously. After the earlier hacking incident, none of the aliens trusted human technology near their systems. It's quite safe, Woojin assured him. I just want to show you how human information warfare works. Reluctantly, Vexthal gestured for him to proceed. Woojin connected his device to the chamber's main display system. For 30 years, Woojin began, humans have been collecting data about galactic civilization. Not just technical specifications, but behavioral patterns, decision-making processes, psychological profiles. The main display lit up with a massive network diagram showing connections between thousands of alien individuals, organizations, and governments. We know that General Krikstar always attacks from the upper left position because that's how Valthari military doctrine is taught. We know that Nixari fleets rely on quantum communication networks that have a specific vulnerability to ionic interference. We know that Kethamor decision-making becomes slower under stress because your crystal matrix requires calm to function efficiently. The alien council members stared at the display in growing horror. It showed detailed analysis of their species, weaknesses, military tactics, and psychological tendencies. This is intelligence warfare on a scale we've never seen, whispered an aide to Sithara. Oh, this isn't warfare, Woojin said cheerfully. This is just preparation. Warfare would look very different. He pressed another button, and the display changed to show real-time communications traffic across the galaxy. Every major alien government's messages were being intercepted, decoded, and analyzed. For example, Woojin continued, right now, General Krikstar is sending orders to mobilize the Valthari Third Fleet. The orders are encrypted with your latest military codes. Unfortunately, we broke those codes 3 years ago. General Krikstar roared in rage and reached for his weapon, but Jiho held up a hand calmly. General, please, we're not your enemies. We're showing you this so you understand what real enemies could do with this information. Pirates, hostile aliens, rogue AI systems. They could use these same techniques against you. Why are you showing us our weaknesses? Vexithal demanded. So Min stepped forward with her scientific equipment. Because, Council Leader, understanding weaknesses is the first step to fixing them. Just like understanding diseases is the first step to curing them. She activated a new hologram showing biological data. For example, we've noticed that Kethmore crystal bodies are vulnerable to specific sonic frequencies. Pirates have been using sonic weapons against your merchant ships for years. Vexthal's body flashed with alarm. How do you know about the sonic attacks? Because human ships have been recording pirate tactics and developing countermeasures, Somin replied. We've created sonic dampening fields that make Kethmore vessels immune to those attacks. We've been sharing this technology quietly with your merchant marine for the past 2 years. The revelation sent another wave of shock through the chamber. More reports began flooding in, as alien officials confirmed that human technology was indeed protecting their vessels. Duyun's voice came through Hyunwoo's communicator from her engineering station on Earth. Ambassador, you can tell the Council about the shipyard revelations now. Hyunwoo nodded. Council members, you've been wondering how we produce so many ships so quickly. The answer is that we didn't just adapt to galactic space. We adapted galactic space to us. The main display changed to show a series of what looked like empty star systems. But as the scan depth increased, massive structures became visible. Entire asteroid belts had been hollowed out and converted into shipyards. Gas giants had orbital rings that were actually construction facilities. Even some moons were revealed to be artificial structures. Impossible, breathed General Krikstar. Our deep space surveys would have detected construction on this scale. Would they? Do-Yeon's voice asked through the speakers. What if the construction was done by ships that looked exactly like asteroid mining vessels? What if the power signatures match natural stellar phenomena? What if we built everything using materials that were already present in each system? Sithara's forked tongue flicked out rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. How long have you been building these hidden installations? 57 years, Hyunwoo replied. We started construction the day after our first radio telescope detected alien signals. We knew we would eventually make contact, so we wanted to be ready. The chamber erupted in chaos as alien officials tried to process this information. 57. Years of secret construction meant that human infrastructure was spread throughout the galaxy. It meant that everything they thought they knew about galactic geography was wrong. Captain Haewon's voice joined the communication link from her ship near the mining colony. Ambassador, I'm receiving gratitude messages from 17 different species. Word has spread about human protection services. Several governments are asking if they can formalize cooperation agreements. How many species are now publicly supporting humanity? Hyunwoo asked. 84 and counting, Haewon reported. The minor species are particularly enthusiastic. Apparently, they've felt ignored by the major powers for decades. This news hit the Galactic Council like a physical blow. 84 species represented a significant portion of galactic civilization. If they all supported humanity, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. Vexthal's crystal body was now pulsing with rapid, agitated light patterns. You planned all of this. The evaluation, our reactions, everything. Not everything, Hyunwoo admitted. We planned for many possibilities. We hoped for the best, but prepared for the worst. The fact that this demonstration is going peacefully is actually our preferred outcome. And if it wasn't going peacefully? General Krikstar asked in a low, threatening voice. Ji-ho answered with quiet confidence. Then you would be learning about our capabilities under very different circumstances. Admiral Taemin's voice came through the communicator. All human fleets report ready status. We have confirmed positions on every major military installation in galactic space. But I emphasize, all ships are maintaining defensive postures only. The message was clear. Humanity had the capability to strike anywhere in the galaxy simultaneously, but they were choosing not to use that capability. 12 hours remain in your evaluation, Vexthal announced, his voice now completely lacking its earlier dismissive tone. 12 hours, Hyunwoo agreed. Perhaps it's time you started thinking about what kind of galaxy you want to live in. 18 hours had passed since the challenge began. The Galactic Council chamber was no longer the scene of a formal evaluation. It had become the center of a galactic crisis that was spreading faster than anyone could control. Council leader. Vextal stood at the center of the chamber, his crystal body flickering between different colors as stress affected his natural light patterns. Around him, the other council members argued loudly in their various alien languages. Order! Vextal's voice boomed through the chamber. We must have order. But order was exactly what the galaxy was losing. Reports were flooding in from every corner of known space. Some alien governments were demanding immediate military action against humanity. Others were calling for emergency negotiations. Many smaller species were openly declaring their support for the humans. General Krikstar paced back and forth, his four arms gesturing wildly as he spoke into his communication device. I don't care what your sensors show. Find me those human ships. All of them. His aide, a smaller Valthari warrior, approached nervously. General, our fleets report the same thing everywhere. They can detect some human ships, but the numbers don't make sense. Sometimes there are 50 ships in a system, sometimes 500. The counts keep changing. Then count better, Krikstar roared. Sir, the aide continued reluctantly, Admiral Thekvar reports that human ships are following our fleets, not attacking, just following, staying exactly outside weapons range. When our ships move, the human ships move with them. In the human section of the chamber, Jiho monitored these developments with calm interest. Psychological pressure, he explained to his companions. Every alien military commander is now wondering if they're being watched by ships they can't see. So-Min was reviewing medical data on her tablet. The stress readings we're getting from the alien species are interesting. Their decision-making abilities decrease significantly when they feel uncertain about their situation. That's the point, Hyunwoo said quietly. We're not trying to defeat them militarily. We're showing them that their assumptions about galactic power were wrong. At that moment, urgent alarms began sounding throughout the station. Nexus Station's own defensive systems had detected something that made their automated threat assessment. Systems activate. Sithara slithered quickly to the main tactical display. What she saw there made her recoil in shock. The display showed the space around Nexus Station, and it was filled with human ships. How many? Vexithal demanded. Computer estimates. 3,000 vessels, Sithara whispered. They're arranged in a perfect sphere around the station, all maintaining exact distance from our defensive perimeter. The alien council members stared at the display in stunned silence. 3,000 human ships had approached the most heavily defended location in galactic space without being detected, until they chose to reveal themselves. When did they arrive? General Krikstar asked. Unknown, Sithara replied. They could have been there for hours, or days. Admiral Taemin's voice came through Hyunwoo's communicator, calm and professional. Ambassador, all Nexus defense fleets have been positioned. We are maintaining safe distance from station weapons. Our presence is purely defensive. Hyunwoo activated his own communication device so everyone in the chamber could hear. Admiral, please explain to the Council what Nexus defense fleets means. Certainly, Ambassador. For the past 15 years, human ships have been secretly protecting Nexus Station from potential threats. We have intercepted and neutralized 47 assassination attempts, 12 terrorist attacks, and 3 planned invasions. The chamber fell dead silent. The aliens were learning that their most important station had been under human protection for over a decade, without their knowledge. You've been protecting us? Vextal asked in disbelief. Protecting the station, Taemin corrected. Nexus Station represents galactic civilization. If it were destroyed, it would destabilize the entire galaxy. We couldn't allow that to happen. Doyan's voice joined the conversation from Earth. I can provide specific examples if the Council wishes. The Kronari death cult planned to crash an antimatter bomb into the station in 2381. We intercepted it. The Void Reapers tried to infiltrate the station with shape-shifting assassins in 2383. We stopped them. Enough, Vextal interrupted, his crystal voice shaking. Why didn't you tell us about these threats? Would you have believed us? Hyunwoo asked simply. 50 years ago, if an unknown species had contacted you claiming to be your protectors, what would your response have been? General Krikstar's answer was immediate. We would have considered them a threat. Exactly. So we chose to help quietly, until we were ready to reveal ourselves properly. More urgent communications were arriving from across the galaxy. Wu Jin was monitoring them all on his device, his fingers moving rapidly as he processed the flood of information. Ambassador, Wu Jin reported, we're getting some interesting developments. The Zilari Confederation has officially requested a formal alliance with humanity. The Paktan Merchant Guild is offering exclusive trading rights. The freehold colonies want to hire human ships for permanent protection services. How many species have made formal requests for cooperation? So-Min asked. Wu Jin checked his data. 137 species as of this moment. That includes 12 major powers and most of the minor civilizations. These numbers sent another shock through the Alien Council. 137 species represented nearly half of all known galactic civilization. If they all aligned with humanity, the Galactic Council's authority would be severely undermined. Sithara's communication device chimed with an emergency message. She read it quickly, then looked up with fear in her snake-like eyes. The Nexari High Command is requesting permission to negotiate directly with humans. They want to discuss sharing our quantum communication technology in exchange for human cybersecurity protection. Similar reports were coming in for all the major species. The Valthari military wanted human tactical analysis. The Kethmore merchants wanted human trade route protection. Even the proud and ancient races were beginning to see the benefits of human cooperation. Captain Haywan's voice came through the communicator from her position near the mining colony. Ambassador, I'm receiving reports from our intelligence network. Several pirate organizations are fleeing toward the Galactic Rim. Word has spread that humans are actively hunting pirates and most criminals don't want to face us. What about hostile alien species? Jiho asked. The Drakthul Empire has withdrawn all their raiding fleets to their home territory, Haywan reported. The Shadow Collective has gone completely silent. It appears that most truly hostile forces are choosing to avoid human attention. This was perhaps the most impressive revelation yet. Humanity's presence in the galaxy wasn't just changing politics. It was actively making space safer for everyone. President Yoonji's voice joined the conversation from Earth. Ambassador, I'm watching the galactic news networks. Public opinion is shifting rapidly in humanity's favor. Most civilian populations see us as protectors rather than invaders. What about government reactions? Hyunwoo asked. Mixed. The major powers are still deciding how to respond, but the minor species are almost unanimously supportive. We're receiving thousands of messages thanking us for years of secret protection and assistance. Fexthal moved to the center of the chamber, his crystal body now showing deep blue patterns of confusion and uncertainty. I must ask directly, he said to the humans. What do you want from us? Hyunwoo considered the question carefully before answering. Council leader, we want what we've always wanted, to be treated as equals in galactic civilization, to have our people judged by their actions rather than their appearance or age as a species. And if we refuse? Then you'll have made your choice, Hyunwoo replied simply. But you should understand that the galaxy has already made its choice. Over half of galactic civilization now sees humanity as a positive force. We don't need your permission to exist. The truth of this statement hit the council like a physical blow. The evaluation they had designed to judge humanity had instead revealed humanity's existing influence throughout the galaxy. General Krikstar stood up slowly, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. You orchestrated all of this. The timing, the reveals, the public support. This was never really an evaluation. Jiho nodded respectfully. You're right, General. This was a demonstration. We could have requested entry to galactic society through normal diplomatic channels. But experience told us that would result in decades of negotiations and restrictions. So instead, you showed us that you don't need our approval, Sithara hissed. We showed you that galactic civilization is bigger than any single council or government, Somin corrected. The people of the galaxy, all species, deserve protection from pirates and hostile forces. They deserve fair trade, medical assistance, and technological cooperation. If the current power structure can't provide these things, then maybe it's time for a new structure. 6 hours remained in the evaluation period, but everyone in the chamber knew that the real evaluation had already ended. The question now was not whether humanity would be accepted into galactic civilization. The question was what kind of galactic civilization would emerge from this moment. 24 hours. The evaluation period was ending in minutes, but the Galactic Council chamber had transformed into something entirely different from what it had been a day ago. What started as a formal judgment of a minor species had become a complete reshaping of galactic politics. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood at the center of the chamber, no longer as a supplicant seeking approval, but as a representative of a power that had already proven itself. Around him, the alien council members showed various states of shock, acceptance, and grudging respect. Council leader Vexthal's crystal body had stabilized into a steady white glow, the Kethamore color for deep contemplation. "The evaluation period is ending," he announced. "But before we proceed to the formal vote, I believe Ambassador Hyunwoo wishes to make a final statement." Hyunwoo nodded and activated the chamber's main display system. Instead of showing military positions or intelligence data, the screen filled with images of cooperation throughout the galaxy, human and alien crews working together on rescue missions, mixed species medical teams treating patients, joint engineering projects building better trade stations. "Honored council members," Hyunwoo began, his voice carrying clearly through the now silent chamber. 24 hours ago, you asked us to prove humanity's worth. We've shown you our ships, our technology, our intelligence capabilities. But these aren't what make humanity valuable to galactic civilization. The display changed to show a human medical team treating Zalari farmers who had been poisoned by toxic spores from their crops. Somin's voice provided commentary from her position near the ambassador. "This is Dr. Minho and his team," she explained. 3 years ago, they spent 8 months developing a cure for Zalari plant poisoning. They asked for no payment and shared their research freely with all galactic medical databases. The image shifted to show Captain Haywan's ship protecting a Poktan merchant convoy from pirate attack. Captain Haywan has saved over 200 alien merchant vessels from pirates in the past 5 years, Jiho added. Her ships ask for no payment, no territorial concessions, no political favors. They help because it's the right thing to do. General Krikstar, who had been silent for the past hour, finally spoke. "You're saying your greatest strength is kindness?" "No, General," Hyunwoo replied. "Our greatest strength is that we see potential instead of problems." The display now showed the full scope of human cooperation programs across the galaxy. Educational exchanges that had taught human students alien sciences while teaching alien students human problem-solving techniques. Cultural programs that had helped species understand each other better. Even simple things like human chefs learning to prepare foods that different alien species could enjoy. "Every species in this galaxy has something valuable to offer," Hyunwoo continued. "The Valthari are incredible warriors and engineers. The Nexari are master planners and organizers. The Kethmore have wisdom that comes from millions of years of civilization. The Zalari understand agriculture in ways that could feed the entire galaxy. The Poktan have built trade networks that connect every inhabited world." Sithara's forked tongue flicked out as she considered these words. "But the current system doesn't allow for such cooperation. The major powers compete instead of collaborating." "Exactly," Somin said. "That's why we propose something different." Wu Jin stepped forward with his communication device. "For the past 24 hours, we've been in contact with representatives from over 200 species. Not just governments, but civilian organizations, trade groups, scientific institutions, and cultural movements." The display changed to show a vast network of connections between different species and organizations. It looked like a map of the entire galaxy, but instead of showing territorial boundaries, it showed relationships and cooperative agreements. "They've all agreed to participate in something we're calling the Galactic Cooperation Initiative," Wu Jin explained. "It's not a government or a military alliance. It's a network for sharing knowledge, resources, and assistance." President Yoon Ji's voice came through the communication system from Earth. "The initiative has 3 basic principles. First, every species has equal voice regardless of age, size, or military power. Second, all knowledge and technology that can help others should be shared freely. Third, the strong protect the weak not because they have to, but because it makes everyone stronger." Council leader Vexthal's crystal body began showing rapid color changes, the Kethmore equivalent of intense thinking. This would completely change galactic civilization. The current power structures, the territorial divisions, the military hierarchies would all still exist, Hyunwoo assured him. "We're not trying to replace your governments or take your territories. We're offering to add a new layer of cooperation that benefits everyone." Admiral Taeman's voice joined the conversation from his ship near Earth. "The military aspects are purely defensive. Human ships will continue to protect peaceful vessels and colonies from pirates and hostile forces, but we'll do it in cooperation with existing military forces, not in competition with them. Du Yan added her report from the engineering stations on Earth. The technology sharing will help every species advance faster than they could alone. We've already seen this working. Valthari engineering principles combined with human adaptability have produced ship designs that are 30% more efficient than either species could build alone. The chamber fell silent as the Alien Council members processed this information. They were being offered something unprecedented in galactic history: cooperation without conquest, protection without control, advancement without subjugation. General Crickstar was the first to speak. What guarantees do we have that humans won't use this network to dominate other species? Jiho answered with military directness. General, if we wanted to dominate the galaxy, we could have done it at any time in the past 50 years. The fact that we didn't should tell you something about our intentions. Besides, Captain Haywan's voice added from her distant position, domination is inefficient. It takes enormous resources to control unwilling populations. It's much easier and more productive to work with willing partners. Sithyara slithered closer to the human group. And what happens to species that choose not to join this initiative? Nothing, Hyunwoo replied simply. They continue as they always have. The initiative is voluntary. No one will be forced to participate. But they'll be left behind as everyone else advances through cooperation, So-min added gently. It's their choice to make. The warning was subtle but clear. Species that joined the initiative would benefit from shared technology, protection, and trade advantages. Those that didn't would find themselves increasingly isolated in a galaxy where cooperation was becoming the norm. A soft chime indicated that the 24-hour period was ending. Vexthal moved to the center of the chamber for the formal announcement. The evaluation period has concluded, he declared. The Galactic Council must now vote on humanity's classification and status in galactic civilization. But before he could continue, something unprecedented happened. Communication devices throughout the chamber began receiving the same message simultaneously. It was a joint declaration from over 150 species formally recognizing humanity as a full galactic civilization and requesting to join the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. The vote that was supposed to judge humanity had become irrelevant. Galactic civilization had already made its choice. Vexthal looked at the flood of messages, then at his fellow council members, then at the humans who had changed everything in just 24 hours. It appears, he said slowly, that this council is no longer the only voice of galactic authority. It never was, Hyunwoo replied respectfully. It was just the loudest voice. Now there are others. General Crickstar stood and, to everyone's surprise, gave the human delegation a formal military salute. I have fought many battles, Ambassador Hyunwoo, but I have never seen a victory achieved without firing a single shot. That's because this wasn't a battle, General, Hyunwoo replied, returning the salute. It was an introduction. 6 months later, Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of the GCI Harmony, the first ship built jointly by humans and aliens working together. The crew included Valthari engineers, Nexari navigators, human tacticians, Kethmore advisors, and representatives from dozens of other species. Their mission was to investigate reports of a massive hostile force moving toward galactic space from outside the galaxy. It was the kind of threat that no single species could face alone, but that the combined might of galactic cooperation could handle. Sir, reported the Valthari engineer at the sensor station, we're detecting the hostile fleet. It's enormous. How? Enormous? Taemin asked calmly. 10,000 ships, sir. Maybe more. They're using technology we've never seen before. Taemin smiled as he looked around his diverse bridge crew. Then it's a good thing we have technology they've never seen either. Send a message to Earth, New Valth, the Nexari homeworld, and all initiative members. Tell them we found the enemy. What should the message say, sir? Asked the Nexari Communications. Officer, tell them it's time to show the universe what galactic cooperation can accomplish. as the Harmony led a mixed fleet of over 50,000 ships toward the approaching threat.